I think there's loads of possibilities to find early action in this game from the mid lane, specifically because we're looking at two champions that quite often find kill pressure at level 6, but in this matchup, you can find it pre-6 as well, and then it's going to be influenced by the junglers. Volibear coming in, disabling the tower, or the synergy as well from MC, trying to come in long range with the Rumble. There's a lot of different intricacies and different matchups to take a look at in this game.
Well, we'll have plenty of time to go into all of that. Nice sky here in Summoner's Rift for our first game of the day. Of course, best of 5. One thing I wondered, though, as we see people queuing up on the top side, Riddle, just waiting to see if anything's going to happen, are Crosby saying we should be getting at least 5 games? How do we get more than 5 games?
Well, we need more of this, because this is something that goes back and forth and might very well come down to execution. So I think this is good so far, and I love it because I know we're going to be getting more adaptive responses in draft pick. The further we move into the game, it might be that now backlane is going to be completely popping off on the Akali. That might be an issue for them later down the line, and therefore they decide to ban it, or vice versa with Slow Q's Irelia, which, I mean, Slow Q as a player, in regular season, barely visible. Made a lot of basic mistakes, super inconsistent. Slow Q, now towards playoffs, a completely different beast. We saw what he did against Eminist, who by many was regarded the best mid laner in the league. So Riddle, definitely a scary playoff form they've have obtained so far.
Absolutely, definitely been the giant killers. David versus Goliath has been the storyline that we've been talking about with this team. But of course, Dusty, also we heard from the interview, they want to be getting down towards Bifrost, getting towards those European Masters places, and have had a really strong showing, dismantling the Near in their first matchup. And now you can see creeps are clashing, people are ready, and it's time to get down to business.
So let's talk a little bit what we want to see here in the early game. We have Viking pathing from top down towards bottom side, and I think that is the point of attack in the early game from Dusty. You're playing against a very immobile AD carry in the Jhin. Jhin, he's great once he gets out of lane. He gets to be facilitating. You have the composition with a Rumble where you get to be long range, the follow-up you get from a Malphite, nukes on the set, and Slow Q and Irelia jumping in. But it's about getting to that point, and Dusty, they want to make sure you don't get to that point easily. They want to make sure that you're punishing an AD carry with low agency in his kit.
Absolutely, and with the Volibear, you do have early tools to do just that. On the bot side, you can see skipping over those Raptors going straight towards the red. He's got priority in the bot lane, so could look to get something going. And of course, at level 6, the Volibear's going to make diving very, very easy. On the other side, Riddle, you've got to imagine, is it a case of them just wanting to sit back a little bit, not giving an opening to Dusty so they can get towards that really strong team fight you talked about?
I definitely think so, because you don't actually have a lot of pushing lanes in the early game. You can see it here. Now into Malphite. Malphite doesn't get to do a lot. You'll have good trading patterns every time your Q is around, and that's because you've opted for the comic in your runes. So you kind of just throw your Q, get the poke damage down, back off. But once it comes to hitting the minions, it's a range into melee. Now it's going to be taking control of the lane. I was curious to see what Venza and FGG was going to do with that bot lane, because they had a wave 3 crash, but they didn't really use this to get out of roam, to get inside on the scuttle. They just used it to keep the pressure down on Riddle's bot lane. And Riddle's bot lane, quite frankly, they're fine with this. So we're looking for the point where Dusty finally decides that they want to attack around this bot side. But we're speaking about bot, we might have to change it around and say top.
Yeah, Viking's hanging around. He's got that double buff. He has moved actually back towards the top side to find Kex out on the Malphite. He needs to be a little bit careful he doesn't go out of position, but just wards up in the tri-bush. Won't split the bear who's hanging out behind the tower, but Viking spending a decent amount of time. That bot skull's there.
Ward is down, and then Meganar is close to getting obtained. He might actually cancel his recall and go for it. And yes, Viperoon, I do believe he's done so.
Going for it. He's going to look for the stun. The Malphite's pretty big, but there's the Meganar. As you said, the stun, the flash, the damage is there. And it's going to be first blood going to Viking.
Easy as from Dusty. Brilliant layering from CC by Viking, starting it all up with the flash Q. Easy for Malef to follow up with the W stun from Gnar, and that's just the first blood. Really only at the expense of a flash. MC still out on his second clear now, have already recalled. Let's see if he can do anything to backlane.
Nice stun, but Backlane's in the shroud and can just dive away. MC, of course, getting that bottom lane Scuttle Crab as FGG holding the fort alone, as we see Venza already going back for that cull, which is always a very nice first back for the Jinx, just to get a little bit more investment.
Exactly, and that's also why the early game, itself is a little bit difficult from Riddle getting to that point, because you don't actually have a lot of pushing lanes. Yes, you get to work around with the Irelia, but actually pre-6, not the best one to have a roaming around the map. So Volibear with Viking here actually has a great time. You could have set something up down towards the bot side, or you did it up towards the top side, as we just saw. And in turn, your bot lane is really not in danger. They crashed the wave. Venzo just went for a recall himself, got a little bit of an item advantage, and now he can crash the wave once again. You can set FGG out to roam just a little bit, clear out some vision in your own jungle, and you can try and attack another map, point of attack rather on the map again.
Something interesting to note as well, we've just seen Slowku go for that reset, but he's already gone back once. This is his second back, just getting back into lane. Backland has had plenty more time, but it's only 4 farm up right now. But we'll be coming in with parity, of course, going for those immediate assault boosts, wants to get that mobility about.
This is interesting. So Slowku currently has set a freeze upon Backland. Backland just used his Shuriken toss. He doesn't actually have too much vision around. Nukes, MC hovering around as well. This could be dangerous.
It's going to be a proper skirmish. It's going to be a 2v3 if it kicks off, but MC will be spotted out on a ward, so you've got to imagine Backland giving some respect to that side of the map, and has just hit level 6 as well for a little bit more damage. But Backland right now does need to be careful because is extending without too much coverage. Having FGG will definitely help because we know how strong Nautilus can be in these early exchanges.
Yeah, exactly. And just in general, a really scary champion. Sometimes we even see them up in for the shield bash, just for that damage when you put in the W. MC has been spotted out on the Crocs as well. They're trying to see if they wanted to threat another dive on the top side, but Kex this time around has obtained that unstoppable force.
Nukes going in, grabbing into Venzo, who will be able to move away, burning low with the Ignite, needs to dodge out damage as much as he can. Fadikan moving forward, needs to get that 4th shot, finds FGG, but it's not going to be enough for anything. It's just going to be a bit of an exchange at the end of the day.
Yeah, but good poke damage coming out from the Riddle bot lane, playing around that 4th bullet from Fatu-chan as well. Jinx does well in these extended trades where she gets to prop the lethal tempo, but if she's too busy running away from a set, well, you can't really do that. So actually brilliant trading down there. Now Riddle, they get rewarded. They get to crash the bot side. They can move up into the river, can use their pressure by just being in fog of war to allow Backland being like, oh, I can't really step up.
Now Nuke's just going to be showing a bit of authority onto FGG as well. Of course, Nautilus being out of lane does mean that he's a level below for the time being. But it's interesting that Viking hasn't even tried to go bot yet, where we said, maybe look, he's pathing down there because he wants to get the bot lane going as soon as possible. But he's loved being topside against Malphite, but now Kex has hit 6. This gank isn't as lovely.
Well, you say that. There's actually 2 people coming up, joining it.
Backland is there. Nice ultimate away from Kex. I don't know if Akali's going to be able to get there and the flash away. Maybe enough, but Aleph, one more auto should secure it. No, it won't, but the next one will. And that's a kill going over to Aleph.
Oh, Kex, he's not having a great time up towards that top side of the map. That's a huge wave he's going to be missing. You can already see the CS discrepancy between the Gnar and the Malphite. Even more plating going over to Dusty as well. And what is the response from the side of Riddle? They didn't even start up the Drake itself, and it's just Aleph finding a really nice Gnar here. Kex not respecting the fact that there could be more people around in the area, should have a sure unstoppable force immediately. Flash could have come out soon as well, but Aleph, once he sees the opportunity to flash forward, he seizes it and take the 2nd kill for Dusty.
Riddle moving down towards this dragon, going to be starting that one up. MC going to try and get back some tempo, as it's been all about Viking in these early stages. Up in that top side, Malphite has died twice. Of course, he's an engaged tank. He's going to be okay with having a little bit less gold. But the fact of the matter is, you've got a Gnar that's going to be coming online pretty soon. It's going to be terrifying in these team fights. And we've said how good Riddle are going to be in team fights, but we always talk about that on parity. If we can get a decent lead coming through from Dusty, suddenly champions like Gnar and Viking are going to be absolutely terrifying bearing down on.
Especially because Gnar and Akali is such tempo-based champions as well. I'm not saying Aurelia isn't, because she is for sure as well. But that just is a testimony to what kind of will happen if Aurelia is the one that falls behind the curve. Backland gets to be the one who's part of the play all the time. I actually like what Dusty is doing here. I think they should just continue to create these topside skirmishes, rather either be by starting up the Rift Herald, try to contest Rift Raptors instead as well. Whatever you can get, small leads on the map, neutral gold, take it while you have this little lead.
And I really like that as well, because you talk about them being tempo-based champions. The Desk talked about these 2 teams being tempo-based teams. And in a best-of-5 series, you come out strong in game number 1. Suddenly you're going into game number 2 like, yeah, this is going to be great. And we've spoken to both of these teams that are quietly confident, but they know and they respect their opposition.
I mean, even MC in the interview just now was saying that he was so confident that was going to be a 3-0. And I'm not saying that Riddle is he's out of this game, because no, by any means, they still have a composition that can be quite deadly if someone is getting caught. Even just Backlung in a mid game can get grabbed out of the shroud by nukes at the correct time and CC up together. with Kex, but so far they just haven't been given an opportunity to go aggressive. And now Dusty, once again, topside, recalling with Kex. This allows Viking to just get a little bit aggressive, get that jungle intel. You seeing that the Raptors are down right now is a clear sign for the Dusty bot lane to then go, okay, he must be down towards the bot side instead then. We need to play a little bit safer.
Now the question is, we've seen the Rift Tail picked up. I always love asking this question. Where should Viking be dropping this? Because I'm looking bot lane and saying, you haven't shown too much love. Is it time for a bit of an early Christmas present down there?
It looks like it's going to be another Christmas present, not birthday. How many holidays are there where you give gifts? I feel like Viking is very busy, giving a lot of attention to Kex.
His favourite child, clearly, just
definitely.
Or least favourite child with what he's been doing to Kex so far this game, but is moving on through the ultimate defense from the Malphite. Unstoppable force, but he's going to be stopped right now. And Aleph picks up another. And this Dara is getting so much attention. This is going to be really, really problematic for Riddle.
It's also just a difference between these two jungle champions because, yes, you can argue that MC is not as active as Viking is currently being, but it's also not the same pacing that the Rumble will have as a champion. You are waiting for level 6. Speaking of these level 6s, getting aggressive down towards the bot side.
Venza's all right. MC moving on down, has the equalize to throw it down. The curtain cooler, nice damage going down onto both members from Dusty. FGG's going to need to dodge this fourth shot. He can't, but the shield is enough. The deadly flash is flashed away from FGG with the fancy feet, survives as Viking moves on through. A dive from Fanican. This could be brave, but he gets Venza. He's looking to run away, but here comes Viking. If he can get the stun down, this could be Curtis, the ultimate forward, but a nice flash from the Jhin. Fanican is moving for his life, but the hero sacrifice coming on through from Nukes, puts on a shield, looking towards FGG, can't find him, knows that his days are numbered, but is looking for the return kill. It's not going to come through, and it's going to be another kill to Viking.
Honestly, Nukes, what a support, giving away his life for Fatich there. But in the end, it's still a little bit worth it for Riddle, actually. They get that 1-for-1. They get a kill on their AD carry. They get to push in the mid lane. Backlane even loses the teleport. So all in all, we were lacking a point of attack, but we said it. Once the level 6 would come active for MC, especially down towards this Jhin, that's where we started seeing them get aggressive.
And I mean, the damage here, you can see MC just clipping both of them and the 4 shots. FGG does so well to survive here, but just wasn't enough in the end.
Honestly, I was ready for them to screw it up a little bit. FGG just flashing out of the way of the bullet that was going to kill Venza instead. Luckily, that was not the case, but Fatich feeling confident, and Viking just not expecting that Fatich was going to be walking up, 4th shot in his AD carry in the face just like that. So he's forced to take a different route afterwards. They do pick up the kill. Nukes flashing forward, a little bit ambitious. In the end, trading out 1-for-1 still decent for real.
Yeah, very nice. Also, FGG just holding that hook to make sure that he's
perfect execution.
Tower, but Nukes is going to need to be careful. Backland already picking up the first kill of the fight. Nice equilibrium to keep Dusty away from Nukes. We see on it goes wide. It doesn't hit anyone as Dusty are able just to walk away. Not the most impactful teleport we've ever seen from a Malphite.
Oh no, that's a point and click gone wrong. And once again, Backland showing up in the Akali. Let's see though.
Yeah, I think they're going to be able to get the kill onto this one. Backland has nowhere to go in the Shroud, and it will be MC securing the kill.
I was just about to say Backland once again, 100% win rate on the Akali, almost finding his solo queue on slow queue, solo kill rather. And then he steps up just a little bit, but now Aleph picking up the first turret for himself. Rift Herald getting plates in the mid lane. Hullbreaker has been purchased. So Aleph is going to be a menace in the side lane. He can continue to do so. Aleph now with topside pushed in. Despite having built Hullbreaker, can try and join the rest of his team if they want to contest this Drake getting started up. But as it currently stands, the vision control is just in Riddle's favor. And it doesn't look like Dusty are in a position or want to contest this one. I don't even think they'll have the time.
I think they're moving forward. They'll see it as it goes down, but that's going to be the second dragon going over to Riddle. We've got Mountain Soul, first one of the day, which isn't the most impactful soul that we have in the League of Legends right now, but you know, it's good to start a little bit slower as we hit the 14-minute mark as well. So as plates fall off, let's have a quick check-in with the state of the game. Nice gold lead to Dusty, almost 3,000. And as you look at these champions with the gold leads that they got, look at top lane. Oh, I don't like that.
I get it. Usually we go tanks. You know what? They don't have to spend that much gold on items. They can chill a little bit. They have a cheap way of building them, but this Malphite, he's going AP as well. That's a lost chapter. Probably going to be built into an Everfrost as well. So it is definitely still some item components that will have to wait a little bit before we get to that point with the amount of gold that Kex has accumulated for the time being.
I mean, just you said ranged into melee, and I was like, yeah. That does make things a little bit
When I
rough.
saw that matchup, I was like, that's great for now. You love that. Getting to proc the hyper procs, getting that W, just running around with the Q. It's such an easy matchup to play.
But it's not even ranged versus melee. It's ranged and melee versus melee.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's a fun matchup if you're not if you're Malphite, especially not if Viking is not kept in check. And I felt like that was a little bit of what's gone wrong for Riddle already, is the fact that Viking has not really been tracked as efficiently as he possibly could. We haven't really seen that aggressive vision. I would have loved if we maybe saw ping ward being purchased by Slowkill in the early game, especially because he had so much mid lane priority. See if we can get that up towards the top side on the river, or at least something that will spot Viking away. Because then, yes, I am losing 75 gold, but I'm also saving my top laner, and you know, that might actually be more worth it.
Top laners aren't worth 75 gold.
Okay, no, you're probably
Never,
right.
never drop a wall for your tanks.
Fair enough.
If you haven't noticed, we're not League of Legends. We're in a pause right now. Hopefully we'll be getting a resolution to that very, very soon. But I want to just kind of talk about where we think this game is going to go next, because we were thinking, hey, bot lane's going to be pretty interesting this game. You've got a clear victor down there. No one really got involved. There was MC making that one successful play where it was 1v1 trade. Viking was also around for that skirmish. But past that, we haven't really seen too much going on. Is this something that is going to explode in the near future? Because you got Jin and you got Jinx. These are two massively impactful champions.
That's the thing, right? Because I'm looking at the map state as well, and quite often have I seen a team get top turret as the first one, and then you kind of go like, wait, we're not rotating around a bot laner. We're now having a champion that's got Hullbreaker. We don't want to play around him. We want to let him stay for himself. So I'm looking at Dusty, and I'm wondering, are you going to be making some creative rotation now, where you're just sending your Gnar down towards the bot side, and you try to create skirmishes on the top side when second Herald spawns? I still think for Dusty, it's about creating skirmishes using the gold lead you have currently to just push Riddle as far back as you can. Go invade their jungle camps on timers. And from the side of Riddle, try to see how much of your own jungle you can actually retain, because we've already talked about that composition. It spikes more when you get to play around a team fighting, but if you're going to be 3 to 4k goal behind, it's going to be very difficult. You need to be reliant on fighting some picks, and a lot of this is going to come out from the vision control and utilizing the CC you have in your team fight composition.
I mean, this is what we talked about as well with that second dragon going down, because Riddle had the control over that area. They had the vision, but with top lane tower gone, with mid lane tower on, I believe it was about 2 plates before it fell, there's a great opportunity there for Dusty to come on through and to open up the map and, as you say, move into the enemy jungle, start getting some work done, start squeezing the gold away. We're going to jump to a couple of highlights now just to see if you've just joined us. Don't worry, we've got you covered with some of the big action, and it's all been basically, let's kill top laner.
Yeah, and I think they've been doing a great job at it, Viking and Aleph. Aleph, we've been so used to seeing him as the weak side over the course of the split, especially because Dusty in the beginning was very much around Venser. I think they developed themselves as a roster where they have developed multiple threats in terms of what they want to play for. I think it's great to see that they're then able to utilize that on the top side, albeit I think Hex was being a little disrespectful with his usage of the Unstoppable Force. But other than that, just all in all, great early game from Dusty. Riddle trying to respond back now when they finally hit that level 6 down towards the bot side as well.
And Vatican, of course, grabbing that kill, does lose his support and both summoners in this exchange, but it's been very, very interesting to watch how the priority has been different from some of the stuff we've seen from these teams before. Because as you said, Aleph hasn't necessarily been the focal point with Avenza, who Initialized was saying, the biggest glow up in maybe NLC history from the start of the split.
I think it was easy for Venser to look better than he did in the beginning due to the fact that Venser looked really bad.
Yeah.
In the beginning. Venser was, if you didn't watch NLC in the beginning, well, Venser was very known for just jumping into the back line. I kind of joked, if you played TFT, that he had an assassin emblem on him, because he would always just somehow, as a Jinx or as an Aphelios, Gale Force into the enemy's back line and all of a sudden be piloting the fight from there. And now you finally have this AD carry. We see shine on Caitlyn just before playoffs as well. We've seen him shine on the Jinx. He's been more respectful. He's being more aware of his positioning, and that's really important as an AD carry.
I mean, he hasn't randomly died once yet, which is good.
I mean,
positive start.
Venser have died once.
No, but not randomly.
Oh,
He was
not
under the
randomly.
tower.
Well, I feel like
wouldn't
his
say
death
that he
could-
overextended under his own tower.
You know what? Maybe a little bit, though, because I do feel like, you know, he was forced out by an ultimate. Maybe he could have just waited for Viking a little bit. But those are the small, finicky stuff we can always look back at. But we obviously have the luxury of just flaming already.
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing but flame here. We don't do an analysis.
You should see our green room, really.
It is.
We're not very good to
This
each
is
other.
the thing, right? Because I'm not usually in Berlin. I'm at home in my comfy chair usually when I'm casting. Come in, people just. It's just toxicity across the board, really.
We are just very honest with each other backstage, and we're very comfortable with each other, which kind of allows ourselves to express the opinion that we have. And, you know, it's all in good fun. We're good people, all of us, I think.
Well, if we're talking about comfort, there are some people who are comfortably sitting over on the desk who are just going to take us through what they thought of the first parts of this game. So we're going to throw it over in that direction and see what they have to say.
I love you, Arturo.
He says that.
I know.
but-
I've been crying actually. Off
Yeah.
stage. Like, he's just a horrible person, Gilbert.
Oh my. Oh, I was not expecting that.
I love him really. He's great.
He also said,
like the flip-flop.
he
I can't
also
gotta keep him on his
said-
toes.
He also said, we're good people. Most of us.
Most of us.
I mean,
But-
it's me, so no.
And me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dusty versus Riddle. First game so far. A lot of aggression coming in from the Voldy Bear Viking to the top side. They're trying to shut down their Malphite. But you were saying something.
I don't know if we have, like, maybe we can ask production for the drafts as well, but I felt like both drafts are just so very well curated, right? Because from one side, from Dusty, you've got a lot of backline dive with the Volibear, the Na, the Akali. You've got the Jinx Rocket later on and the Nautilus. Yeah, so everyone wants to go in. But I feel like on a 5v5, both teams have ways to defend versus each other. I feel like the Riddle composition that was curated, it is such a great zoning composition. You know, the Aurelia ultimate can zone, the Rumble carpet can zone, you have the Malphite zoning with the ultimate, the set that can take one of the 3 threats, you know, away from the Jhin. And obviously, like when you have champions like Jhin, who can literally play from his fountain and do damage, you feel very confident playing into 4 melees that will be diving into you.
Yes, as long as you have Flash, as long as you've got a Gale Force, and you're still there. Like the Flash did get Bunny, did eventually get out, but he cost him a lot. And I think a lot of these mid and late game fights are going to be around how safely can Rumble and Jhin play to get down the key skills before inevitably someone tries to dive them. And can they get peeled for? And what is Slowq getting done in the meantime? And I don't necessarily think Slowq's going to have the easiest time in team fights either. While he's got great angles for hitting a good ultimate, there's a lot of really good CC to just stop him in his track. You don't get a blade dance everywhere when Na just hits every button and stuns you in place. When Nautilus gets to just basically passive auto attack you and stuns you in place. It gets challenging from there.
Before we move on, I would like to tell you all that a situation has occurred, but the production is capable of solving it, so we will be able to resume with the game in a couple of minutes, so stick around with us. Obviously, it's the first game. We still haven't seen team fights. We still need to get to that point.
That's where I wanted to get, yeah. So when you're thinking of team fights, the first thing that comes into your mind is like, we have a Jinx.
Yeah.
We have a Jinx, so we have the upper hand in team fights because we've got the ST hyper carry on our backline. On the other hand, you have got Fatih-chan on his Jhin, right? He's more of like a facilitating AD carry slash, yes, I'll do some damage, but mainly I'll give you the distance that you want to play the game. Now, my question here is, if Riddle are successful in assassinating with the AP Malphite plus Carpet the Jinx, if they manage to catch off guard Venza, I think even if you have to trade your Jhin, like if your Jhin gets dived by Akali and Sats and you trade the two, I feel like Riddle is much more comfortable playing their fight without the Jhin than Dusty is without having the hyper carry from Jinx.
It's still an early game, so we still need to see how this game is going to develop. And now let's make a test. I love you, Goldberg. You're a really good friend. Take it over.
Oh, he's so nice.
Notice he
do
didn't
love
mention
him
me.
too. Honestly, Archer's been great working with. You know, I'm always sitting around in the green room, and he's always the first one to start preparation and like the last one to leave.
He was here.
artwork.
We came in, me and Initialize came in a little bit early, and he was already sitting there with his little cue cards ready to prepare and organize. And I think he was
You
starting.
know,
at
the
7
fun
a.m.
thing is as well, when we don't do best of fives, we don't actually have to do a post game as an analyst, so we can kind of chill around. But Artrum has to be the only one prepping, actually doing the interview questions.
What a nerd am I, right?
I actually know, I know, right?
This guy has to work
This
like
guy's
the
working
whole
hard.
time
What
we're
the
here.
hell?
He hasn't fought his career through, clearly. But we are back onto the Rift, as you can see. Same game, 15 minutes in. Dusty hold the advantage. but Riddle holding the line for now at least, and the game is definitely not out of hand.
Yeah, but let's have a look at that now, because you have a very long top lane you can push in, and every time Aliv pushes this top lane in, it gives so much downtime for Dusty where they can just move around. You want to take away the Crocs? You can do that. You want to get more aggressive vision? You can do that. You want to threat a dive towards the mid lane who's already low because you had a Herald? You can do that. So just the fact that Aliv is this far ahead, and he continuously will be because Malphite will never challenge now on side, well, that's a thorn in Riddle's side at the moment.
2 levels up as well, which is not super pleasant. It must be. But Malphite is the kind of champion that could, in theory, move around and get something going elsewhere.
At some point, it will have to be like, well, I'm not getting anything done topside anyway. I'm just going to join the fight and lose waves because I'm behind anyway.
Well, he's going to lose waves if he's up there. That's the issue. And I mean, there are no good options when you're 0-3-0 down, as Dusty decided to go for a good option. Second Herald has been started up by the Gnar, and he's going to be able to be helped out there by Viking FGG just getting that vision control. Like you talked about, getting a little bit deeper is what we wanted to see from this side.
Yeah, but now we also want to see Riddle try and respond a little bit. Yeah, take control of the bot side instead. You see a lot of members from Dusty on the top side. This is your window to get aggressive.
We talked about you not giving up unnecessary kills, and there it is. MC needs to be careful now as Backlund dances on through. Sloku grabs a kill on the other side though, and now he's diving back towards the Akali. Ducks back, but gets over the wall. Backlund helped out by nukes there, and will get away, but the fight continues. Backlund actually does get away because of the snipe from the curtain call. Aliv trying to find his way out, will be able to do so as Vikings there as well. He did pick up the Rift Herald. Very, very even fight, but I think Riddle shaded it.
Dusty plays right into Riddle's hand. We were just talking about it. Okay, multiple members of Dusty on the top side. Riddle will go in towards the bot side. And that's Dusty right. You have to respect this. You just got a Rift Herald. You got an objective for free. Back out. All Riddle, realistically speaking, should have been getting here was Raptor camps and Crocs and damage on the bot side. That should have been the trade. Vence, on the other hand, was like, how about you get a kill? How about you get back into the game? And then Slowq finally starts picking up some kills as well, which is probably nightmare scenario for Dusty, because he is the guy you don't want to get ahead in the mid-game scenario.
I mean, Aurelia being able to dive through these fights, and that was one of the first real skirmishes we've seen, and it went all the way of Riddle. The question being, obviously, the Gnar wasn't there, the Volibear wasn't there until the very end. If this front line can do something else, maybe it's a different teamfight scenario, but Riddle have been handed a very comfortable lifeline. Bot lane, we're going to see the Rift Herald picked up, though.
Yeah, finally coming through, and now with side lane pressure, with an Akali, with a Gnar, in top and mid, which is something you can build up in maybe a couple waves, let's say 5 waves later into the game. You can start moving that pressure into the mid lane, and you can try and take care of the last one. But Riddle right now, while the reset is coming through from Dusty, they have an opportunity to start clearing out some of the vision in the bot side river towards that Drake, because remember, they're already sitting on 2 Drakes. Putting themselves in a soul point wouldn't be all too bad.
No, it wouldn't be bad at all. Especially, it's a mountain, so it's not going to be that big flashy win condition necessarily, but it does make these fights much, much easier for them because they've got those extra resistances and the shield on top. And you can see Dusty moving in. They clearly know that they don't want to be giving over this opportunity for Riddle, because while it's not a win condition per se, Elder Dragon could certainly be just that. And if you've got the advantage in those fights,
I want to look at the different TP wards we have on the minimap as well, because in the red side jungle, there still is a ward that Kex can TP if he wants to get backline access. And currently, Dusty's vision towards their own jungle isn't really all that good. Well, there he goes. That was the opportunity. Guess they're going to have to take it head on. Alif's the one who's in a flank position.
Watch the Malphite as well, but FGG's going to be able to get onto MC. He's already pretty much gone. Just managed to get the death shot down before he gets the killed. As Viking is on a spree with that one, moving towards the Dragon, and will be able to secure it. You've got to imagine, because no one from Riddle is willing to contest.
And it felt like for a short amount of time, Riddle actually had an opportunity to start the fight themselves, but they waited around just too long. That meant FGG finds a beautiful Hex Flash, finds MC, and once the jungler is down, well, there's not much for the rest of Riddle to actually do about the situation, and they'll have to forfeit the Drake. 3k gold lead for Dusty and FGG. Very low HP bar. But the rest of Riddle already scattered back to their base, and this means even more intel to Dusty.
And I mean, slowing down that condition of getting that Cloud Soul, or the Mountain Soul even, is really nice. You see Vence is given some free time on this middle lane tower and will be able to knock it down. So that's all the outers secured before the 20-minute mark for Dusty. The map is wide open for them now.
Now it starts to become curious, though, because we have the next step in the plan of ending the game, of cleaning it up. It's too early to be starting up a Baron. You won't shred it. It's a little bit of a throw win condition because you don't want to get your magic resistance shredded by Baron's passive, only for MC to come in there with the equalizer, which we're hoping Dusty will not do. So what they'll have to do instead is that they'll have to trim out the outer turrets in the side lane, try to pick up this 600 gold, try to take care of the opponent's jungle now that you have the extra pressure by no longer having the mid lane tower, the safety for Riddle. And that's what we really want to see them attack. Every time a camp has respawn, that's where you want to go for it. You want to wait to the time where you finally pick up those items, and then you can start threatening the Baron later down the line.
And I mean, we talk so much about how important it is to break open those towers to open up the map and to give themselves the opportunity, not necessarily to do the Baron, but to set up control around it. But having all of their towers themselves gives them some safe harbor to move back to.
You know what my main concern is with a lot of players, though? Is that they focus on, alright, let's open up the map. We try so hard to get to this point where Dusty's at right now. 3 outer turrets completely gone. And then they're kind of like, but what do we do now? We always say to open up the map, but it always feels like some teams are really struggling in terms of how they'll get away with it. This time around, Dusty, they're patient. They see no one on side, therefore, Venza, FGG, Viking completely back off from the mid lane. Now that they don't see anyone in the mid lane, but their side waves are getting responded to, that's where the 3 Musketeers in the mid lane are starting to get proactive, trying to clear out the vision. So they're doing exactly what they do here. Be patient, don't rush anything. I know it feels bad in League sometimes to not just always be on the aggression, but sometimes you can't allow yourself to do so.
And I mean, playing it patiently, this is a good standard to set for the rest of this series, just going through the motions and saying, we're not going to give an opening to Riddle, because they've already done that once this game. Venza going into the jungle bot when they were getting that second Rift held, completely gave Riddle an in, which they absolutely took. So now they know, right, we can't be giving Riddle options. These guys beat JDXL. You can't be giving them an inch because they'll take a mile, and Dusty are not giving them that. They're controlling vision, they're not over-pushing, they're looking for FGG, who might have overextended slightly though, as MC and Vatican trying to get the damage down. Aleph is there, building up the rage bar, Kex is there, it's a 4v2 if this fight kicks off in earnest. Aleph is about to go large, but gets knocked back into the enemy team, and now he's in a lot of trouble, gets a very nice stun, but it doesn't matter as the shutdown comes through. FGG will be able to slide out, but the curtain call is being used. Shot 1 and 2, they both go wide, 3 and 4 will not be in range, but it's a good pick up for Riddle.
Yeah, but why didn't they just attack mid lane as well? Venza had the full possibility to do so. Down towards the bot side, getting responded with a TP.
Viking was trying to turn off the tower, didn't manage to do so. Kex has the ultimate available, so he could be looking for someone. Viking needs to be careful here as he's running him down, getting the damage through. He goes golden, but I don't know if that's going to save your life, Viking, as Backlund has to dance away, diving back on through, but I don't know if that's the correct decision as they both go down. Venza can't get the return kill with the ultimate. And just when we were saying that Riddle hadn't been given an opening, Dusty give them 2.
As soon as they got the first 3 outer turrets, I knew it was over for Dusty. That's why it starts becoming difficult playing that macro, and Riddle, they start getting creative. They hunt FGG for so long. They pick up the kill, and then they still have to teleport. They still have the ultimate of Kex, which allow them to get aggressive here. And I gotta say, Dusty had the opportunity to attack mid lane here. Currently, Venzo is pushing in another wave, but he already did once before. He was already hitting the turret once, but then he started moving up towards the top side. So I think the decision making here from Dusty just went down a little bit. And if you're to vote with you, again, after this game, this is definitely the situation you're having a look at as to where it went wrong.
And this is exactly what you were talking about, saying, look, we don't know how to get through this next layer of defense. As MC going to lay down a red carpet, looking for Venza, can't quite catch him. The cleanse is used regardless, though. So that's a nice tool taken off the table for the Jinx. But Dusty need to recollect themselves and think, right, the conditions are still the same. We've just given up a couple of kills. It's not too bad. Let's just try and break through. Aleph is still very strong on the top side, but Slowq can now match to an extent. As we get the fight in the mid lane, FGG needs to be careful. A lot of damage onto Nukes, though, as he's going to be one who's called out, blown up. As Viking secures the kill. The teleport coming on through, may display things, but Viking wants to go back in. FGG is there as well. Backlund on the side, helps pick up MC, is now looking towards Slowq, who's also very low. He's diving on forward, manages to pick up one before he dies. As Fadigan runs for the hills, Kex won't be able to find a way out though, and is caught and killed by the Nautilus. Aleph is running on through, gets another kill and a shutdown as Riddle are routed.
24 minutes into the game, that's an ace. One member can solo up the Drake, that might be Aleph, while the rest of Dusty, they can move their forces up towards the top side. Yes, they don't have a jungler, but there's still 15 seconds for MC before he gets respawned from the fountain, and it looks like they're just going to skip the Drake. They're going to take the big objective in the Purple Worm instead.
Absolutely going to be able to secure this one, and this is what they can use now. We talked about how we didn't know if they were going to have the right tools to take down these inner towers. That's what First Baron was built for.
Yeah, this definitely makes matters a little bit easier for Dusty. One could claim so without getting too much flack, and now with the resets coming through, hell, they might even be in a position to still run down Drake, take another fight if they want to. Let's see how it all happen again. It's Nukes getting caught off, and then the combo of the Flame Chomper with FGG hooking Nukes back into it. Once it becomes a 4 versus 5, it's just an incredibly deadly situation, and FGG once again finds the hook immediately on Slowq as soon as he gets out that teleport. Once that happens, the rest of Riddle are just left to play retreat. But you can't really run away from an A-Liv that's so fast on the Gnar, who's got the slows on his boomerang.
And we're back into another fight immediately. Once again, it's Nukes' it's deja vu. He's going to dive back through, but gets killed before he hits the ground. As another kill goes over, this time to Venza, and now Riddle are caught between a rock and a hard base. They're going to try and get up, a nice Mega Gnar onto 2. The snipe from Venza for the double. Fattycam will be deleted as well. Slowq goes down. Riddle with nowhere to go. How far can Dusty push here?
Yeah, they can definitely push up towards those inhib turrets. I don't know if they're looking for an end currently. 30 seconds for Slowq, 40 seconds for Slowq, 30 for Fattychan. 20 on MC, I mean, hell, they might even look for it if they want to be cheeky about it, but I think the safe option here, 26 minutes into the game, is push this bot side turret, take the inhibitor, and go for the resets instead.
I don't know, they look like they want to try and force it through for a second longer as Riddle have only got 2 members defended. Viking is there looking for the engage. They're going to be able to take out Nukes. He's already gone, and so does Kex. He's taking so much damage. He's deleted. He looks like a tank, but not really, as the Nexus towers go down. MC lays out the red carpet, but it's going to be a victory replayed for Dusty as they pick up the first win of this series, 26 minutes in.
That's a short game for this meta. We usually average around those 30 minutes. This time around, back-to-back